Don't friggin' pick at your friggin' face.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
What the heck is up, lima beans? How are you doing? I'm well. I'm doing well. I'm currently feeling very creatively stimulated, if you were wondering. Okay, moving on. This week on Staying Salty, we have continued the conversation from last week about care teams and clinics and stuff like that. And we've been talking about our experiences changing clinics and moving from one clinic to another, whether that means from pediatric to adult or from an actual location change. And so I'm just gonna tell you my experience with that today. So the way I got diagnosed with cystic fibrosis really quickly was just my regular pediatrician heard some weird things going on in my lungs, and he recommended that my parents take me to the nearest advanced pulmonology office. So we did just that, and we drove 45 minutes away to that clinic, and they tested me for a few different things, including cystic fibrosis, and it turned out positive. And so when it came time to pick a clinic, we were like, well, we are diagnosed here. This is a cystic fibrosis clinic. Let's just go here. So we did. Basically, that was kind of it. It was just like, this is a clinic, so we'll go here. And as you may realize from the conversation we had last week, that's not the best way to choose your clinic. You do want to put research into it and make sure it's a good match for you. Later in life, we would find that this clinic really wasn't that good of a match for me, but at the time, we just didn't know that. We didn't foresee that. When I was younger, my cystic fibrosis was pretty moderate. I didn't go to the hospital until really like the 5th grade, and even then I only went a couple times a year. So it didn't matter that my doctors, there were 2 doctors at my clinic, and they alternated being in the hospital and being in the outpatient clinic every other week. And one of them was super quiet. You could not get a word out of him. He wouldn't make a decision. Basically, you had to tell him what you wanted, which is like good sometimes, but if you're looking for guidance and like knowledge, he really wasn't your guy. And the other doctor was like the complete opposite. He was just so loud and in his own head and didn't really care what you had to say, didn't ask questions, didn't value opinions, and just, you really only got one or the other. There was no in between. So the doctor situation was very frustrating at that clinic, and that didn't matter too much because my health wasn't very complicated. That clinic did happen to have an absolutely amazing nurse, and I know that she watches all of my videos, and I love her to this day. But some of the other members of the clinic were also not fantastic. Like, the psychiatrist would be very like condescending and sad when she would talk to me, and like she would make me sad, which just was like counterintuitive to her job, really. And also, I am very, very sure that I had at least anxiety disorder, if not anxiety and depression, for a long time, a long period of my life before it was diagnosed in college. And she just didn't notice. She just like didn't see it or diagnose it, which is very problematic. But I digress. My weight didn't start to become an issue until I got to college, meaning that it wasn't until, you know, this past year that I struggled to keep on weight. So the dietitian wasn't really, we didn't have a super intense relationship. We didn't need to work very close together. But towards the end of high school, when my health did start to decline, like just a little bit, was when I started getting really frustrated with my doctors and their seeming lack of care in what I had to say, or I feel like they weren't invested in whether or not I turned out okay, you know? And then in the last couple of years of high school, people started to quit, and the clinic just like fell apart. The respiratory therapist was replaced by someone, the psychiatrist was replaced by someone, the amazing nurse was replaced by 3 nurses, because that's how amazing she was. She needed 3 people to do her job. And 3 nurses could not do what she did. Like, it was so hard to get an appointment after that, which is really obnoxious when you start to feel sick and you just can't get an appointment because they're too busy or they won't answer their phone. And then the doctor that talked a lot and sometimes didn't let you get a word in left, which was the one I preferred out of the 2 because at least he made decisions, and was replaced by like a crazy woman. Oh my god. By my senior year of high school, I just needed to leave. I needed a new clinic so badly. It got to the point where I didn't feel safe with them taking care of me, and my mom and I just left so frustrated every time. But honestly, the timing worked out because that specific clinic only had pediatric pulmonologists, meaning that the doctors who worked there were only pediatric doctors, and they didn't go to school for adult lungs, basically. So when I turned 18, I would have had to find a new clinic anyway, and it just so happened, well, I was 18 for my senior year of high school, but when I went away to college when I was 19, I needed an adult care team, and I was moving away anyway across the state, so it was at that time that I, hooray, switched to the health system at the university that I went to, or go to, which is the University of Michigan. And oh my god, the difference is astounding. I don't even know if I could name 3 people that I trust or respect more than my pulmonologist right now. He is such a smart, kind, wise, patient man, and I can just feel in my heart that he is invested in my care. Like, there have been times when I'm at my doctor's office where I will break down crying because of how rapidly my health feels like it's deteriorating, and how scared I am that I won't be able to finish college, and how frustrated I am that I'm going to the hospital every month when it didn't used to be like this. And I see his eyes well up with tears, and he tells me that we're gonna figure it out, and he cares about me, and he lets me ask questions, and he answers them honestly. And I didn't have that for 19 years growing up. I'm back at a clinic with a kick-ass, amazing nurse who just knows what she's doing. The dietitian is wonderful. The social work team is amazing and diagnosed me with my depression and anxiety, and I've never been happier or more stable or had fewer, less frequent panic attacks in my entire life, because they check in with me and they adjust my antidepressants and they force me to go to therapy because they know it'll help. And what would you believe? It does help a lot. The inpatient care that I receive when I go to the hospital is absolutely fantastic. I've had sinus surgeries here. I have had my port placement here, both of which were absolutely wonderful. But the biggest thing is moving from a small system that I was at before to a huge system like the University of Michigan, which is one of the biggest and most advanced cystic fibrosis centers in the country and the world, as well as the rest of the hospital. I just feel surrounded by so much knowledge and advanced medicine that I am so safe all the time, and that's a feeling that I absolutely did not have at my clinic before. If I could go back and change something, I think I would have switched to my current clinic during my senior year of high school, so that I could have gotten to know them when I was still living at home, and also so I could have just started getting that amazing care a year earlier before my health started to decline. But you know, it would have been a really long drive from home, and honestly, what can you do? Life just happens. Hindsight is 2020. So that's about it. That is my experience with changing from one clinic to the next, and I don't know what will happen in the future with me and my clinic. If I live in the state of Michigan, I definitely will stay at the University of Michigan clinic because it is absolutely wonderful. And as a 21-year-old artsy fartsy writer female, I feel like jetting off to New York sometimes and becoming a famous author, but honestly, sometimes I just think about my doctor and I just don't know if I could bear to leave him, so we'll see what the future holds and if I'll have an update on my changing clinics background, but for now, that's all I got. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to week 2 of this season of Staying Salty. I really hope that you subscribe if you haven't, because we just hit 500 subscribers, which is really dope, and you should like join this community because it's pretty cool. I gotta go to the pharmacy and then get blood drawn because this disease is very present in my life right now and all the time, but it's fine, I'm fine. So yeah, I will see you guys next Saturday. Bye.